Closed captioning for the Casey Malone Show is sponsored by Hunter Stevens Land Title Agency. Integrity, service, and commitment you can trust.
Oh yeah, Casey Malone is serving up local. It's time for the stories of our region, the tastes, the sights, the sounds, and the people in and around the valley. Get ready for some local flavor on the Casey Malone Show.
It's farming and a fishery in a factory at West Wind Urban Ag. And my split pea soup. It's the ideal comfort food. But first, a celebration that goes back to the 1100s continues here in Youngstown. This year, St. John's Episcopal Church hosted its 62nd annual Boar's Head Festival. With majestic music and the fanfare of traditional costumes, a cast of all ages presented a moving experience to celebrate the 12th day of Christmas, also known as the Epiphany, Three Kings Day, Little Christmas, or the Feast of Lights. St. John's Festival is much needed in the bleak midwinter as the gift of Jesus is presented to bring light to the world. Tony is the senior warden here at St. John's and also a beef eater. And these are old costumes.
They are, yes. I'm not even sure how old they are, but they...
No, I heard like 50 or 60 years old.
Quite possible.
And I mean, they're in excellent shape.
Yes, yes.
And how many years have you participated in this festival?
Oh, I'm not sure. I participated when I was a kid, probably till I was 18, and then it was a while. But I went away to college, and when I came back, I didn't join the festival right away. But I've done it for the last several years as well.
I mean, this is its 62nd year.
Yeah, 62nd.
And I bet you this costume is almost, as old as the festival itself. But it's really, I mean, it's a religious service, but it is a festival.
Yeah.
What's the difference?
Some of the history came from an academic setting, and it came from England, and it shows the journey from darkness to light, at the end there you see the sprite take the light with the priest out into the world, and that symbolizes the light of Christ going out into the world.
How long does it take to rehearse and you have so many people involved, so many festival participants, from the young to the old.
Yeah. Well, as far as rehearsal, the cast does a rehearsal on Saturday. But the musicians do a lot more rehearsing, and there's a lot more planning from a lot of other people involved that you don't see on this day. The people who do all these costumes, they prepare them way ahead of time. The people that put together the programs, the church staff, it's really a year-long undertaking to put this on. So
it must be, and the children, all the kids that you get involved, they must love this.
They do. I did this when I was a kid, and in fact, I wrote the log.
Did you?
Year.
I mean, that kid was having a good time.
Oh,
Let me tell you, they were tearing around
this church. It is a lot of fun.
Are these all parish members?
A lot of them are, or had connections with the parish in the past. Some of the families have moved away from the area, but they'll come back and participate in this.
So in June, St. John's has a really big celebration coming.
It is the 125th anniversary of the consecration of this building. The construction started in 1897. I think we first started using it in 1899, and then it was consecrated in 1900.
I mean, this is it looks like a movie set. Yeah. It really does. Yeah. I mean, it's such a beautiful church. And you're always welcoming and accepting new members, aren't you?
Yes. We always welcome new members, and we welcome everyone here without exception, and that's really important for us. The Episcopal Church is open to having anyone participate in all orders of ministry, and that's really important to us. So we want everyone to feel welcome here.
Well, Happy New Year, and I just totally enjoyed this, and I will never miss it again.
I'm so glad you enjoyed it.
I really did.
I hope other people will come and experience it too for the first time.
The music and the choir was superb tonight. You brought me to tears. It was that beautiful.
Well,
how long do you prepare your choir for this festival?
I won't tell you all of our secrets. But what I can tell you is that there's not a week that goes by here where there isn't something going on that has something to do with Boar's Head.
Really? All year long?
All year long. So by summertime, I've hired my brass players.
Wow.
I
So
have
you
to.
found all these musicians?
They want to come back. Most of these folks I've had year after year.
I mean, the pipers were great, man.
Yep,
The bagpipers were wonderful.
Yep, they're hard to find, but
Yes,
these guys are good. There was one gentleman that came to the first performance. He played the first 50 Boar's Head festivals.
Wow.
And then decided it was time to retire. But his goal was to play 50 of them.
I mean, being that involved, I was really moved emotionally. Do you get that feeling when you, at the end and the grand, come on, you faithful, does it still stir you?
Oh, very much. But you can't let it show. In other words, you have to be in control of what's going on, because they're looking to me.
Right, you're in charge.
I'm the one to hold it all together. Most of the music that happens in the program, that's all prescribed. When I came here.
But you put your spin on this. I mean, it is amazing.
Well, there's only certain things I can put a spin on, because like the procession at the beginning with the Boar's Head Carol, that's all prescribed. The interludes, I get to pick those.
That's where you get, yes.
So I get some creativity there. The thing about this Boar's Head Festival, it's a real mix of the sacred and secular. At the beginning, all the townspeople coming in, all the characters, and the Lord and Lady of the Manor, and what have you. And then by the time the shepherds come, the shepherds are looking for the star. So now we're getting into the religious story, and it has that shift. Get the kings in. So this is really the Christmas story, but from the perspective of the three wise men. It's something that you hope people will live with throughout the year. And when you get to talk to somebody that's been here for the first time, there were several here today that this was their first one, and it's like they just go, wow, I can't believe it. They're blown away and just, come back next year.
And they will.
And they will.
And they'll bring others.
And then the other folks that, the families that have been here for a long time, and it might be, someday the little girl that was the sprite,
right,
she's going to move into something else. And when she grows up a little bit more, she'll grow into another part. And these families have all these wonderful stories to tell about, when I was a little kid, I was, fill in the blank.
Right. No, that's true. And Tony was saying that he, rode the Yule log.
Yep.
When he was a little boy,
Yep.
Thank you so much, Dick. It was really
you're
beautiful.
Welcome. Yeah.
It was.
Glad you enjoyed it.
The Casey Malone Show will be right back with more local flavor.
Hi, I'm Robbie Fellman.
And I'm John Stanko from Boardman Subaru.
Subaru is rated #1 in customer satisfaction and has the longest lasting vehicles in the industry.
Test drive the 2025 Subaru Forester, fully redesigned with standard EyeSight driver assist technology.
Or the Subaru Crosstrek, an IIHS top safety pick for 12 straight years with the best resale value in its class according to Kelley Blue Book.
Award-winning vehicles and award-winning service.
Only at Boardman Subaru, just south of Route 224 on South Avenue.
This is GABA Camp, barrier-free camping and nature for our friends with disabilities. GABA Camp is a 501c3 organization. We need your help to grow. Donate to GABA Camp. Given is living.
I'm Elizabeth Bernard. For more than 30 years, I've provided our Valley with sound legal advice. My associate Jennifer Rigetti and I will be your legal representatives if you're involved in a car, truck, or motorcycle accident. Don't try to handle it yourself. We'll navigate the red tape of dealing with doctors, medical insurance, and all the obstacles that you'll face. Remember, there are no upfront fees on personal injury cases, and hiring a lawyer does not mean you have to go to court.
Call attorney Elizabeth Bernard, local legal experience for more than 30 years.
Weight loss goals aren't one size fits all. At Hurricane Health and Wellness, we understand the struggle. We've been there too. That's why we offer the most popular, effective weight loss medications at an affordable price. Look and feel your best today with Hurricane Health and Wellness.
Shop C-Max Northside Appliance in Struthers, the local appliance store that beats big box prices every day.
3 generations serving Youngstown, Ohio, soon to be our 4th.
You better come on in my kitchen.
Well, when I was a little girl, I absolutely hated peas. When we were served peas, I would not eat them. I would hide them in napkins. I just did not care for them. And the older I got, I really started to like peas. And one of my favorite soups is pea soup. And I always thought that I needed a ham bone to do a split pea soup, but you don't. You can make it vegetarian with absolutely no meat, which is what I'm doing. I am using a chicken stock, but if you wanted to go total vegetarian, you could use a vegetable stock. And you just have to remember you need a little more seasoning because you don't have the salt from the ham bone and that smoky flavor to make up for it. But I'm gonna tell you, this is really easy. You can throw it together in 1 hour and it is really delicious. So let's get going over the ingredients. We're gonna make split pea soup. For this recipe, you'll need 1/4 cup of olive oil, 1 cup of chopped onions, 3 cloves chopped garlic, 1 teaspoon dried oregano, 2 teaspoons kosher salt, 1 teaspoon fresh ground black pepper, 2 cups of diced carrots, 1 cup of diced celery, 1 cup of diced yellow potatoes, skin on, 1 pound of dried split peas, rinsed and picked through, 4 cups of chicken or vegetable stock, 4 cups of water, 2 packets of Saison Goya without annatto, and chopped fresh mint for garnish. Over medium heat, I have warmed the olive oil. Now we are going to add, ooh, see, it's nice and warm, the onions and the celery, the carrots, and the garlic, and some of the spices. I'm gonna put in the oregano, and remember, there is no ham bone. So I know it seems like a lot of salt, but I'm gonna do 2 teaspoons right now of the kosher salt, and then a good teaspoon of fresh ground black pepper. And this will start some of the seasonings to get in with the vegetables. And we're just gonna cook this for about 5 minutes or so until the onions are nice and soft. And when they get a little bit translucent, we'll add the rest of the ingredients. Well, they look good. Nice and softened. So I drained the potatoes. I'm gonna add those. Mix those in. There we go. Then the star of the show, the split peas. And it's really weird when you rinse them, they get really hard. So you kind of just put them down and it's like concrete. I mean, I think you could use this to patch on potholes, but it breaks up once the liquid comes. And then that's what I'm gonna add, the chicken or vegetable stock. And last but not least, the water. I mean, this makes a lot of soup. And, but it freezes really well because there's no dairy, there's nothing in this, you know, to give you any trouble. So we're gonna bring this to a boil. And once it comes to a rolling boil, we're gonna put it to simmer and go about 40 minutes to an hour. You want those to be nice and softened up, the split peas. And then it'll be soup time. Alrighty, so everything looks great. Now this is a chunkier soup. So I am just going to get a little taste. And honestly, it's pretty good. It really does have a nice flavor. But I like to use this Saison from Goya. It is different herbs and different spices, and it really adds just a lot better flavoring if you're doing a stew or a soup and you're just missing something. And because I don't have the ham bone in here, this is where it comes in really nicely. I use 2 packets for this size because this is about enough for about 8 people. And they say for every 4 people, use a packet. I mean, a lot of people use this as an enhancer, but it really does make it for a nicer flavoring of the soup or the stew, whatever you're cooking. All right, so I'll mix that in, and I'd like this to smooth out just a little bit. So what I'm gonna do is just use my immersion blender. And I'm only gonna do, you know, about 1/4 of this pot. And I'm gonna smooth it out so it'll be a little bit creamier, even though the chunks will remain. And you just go in and you can see the difference just on that side. And I'll mix it in together. And that's it. See how it's a little creamier on this end? And then when it mixes in with the rest of the soup, it just makes it a little creamier. So I will mix that in, see that? And then I'm just gonna mix this together. And it thickens it up a little bit, but not much, but it just makes it, I think, a little prettier too. And if you don't want it this, you know, thick or this consistency, you can always add a little hot water at a time. So I think this is ready to be served. Let me get this ready and we are going to taste it. The split pea soup. Well, I think that mint really brings out a great flavor in peas. And I chopped up some fresh mint as a little garnish here. And then I'll add, just for a little crunch, a couple croutons. And we are going to taste this and see how it is. I mean, it really looks good. Wow. It is delicious. I love split pea soup. It really is one of my favorites. And with a nice, light, effervescent wine, this is Octave from Portugal. It's a Vinho Verde. And it really is light and bubbly and super reasonably priced. So go to my website, CaseyMaloneShow.com. Look for the split pea soup recipe because you are really going to love this all year round. It's really good. Cheers. The Casey Malone Show will be right back with more local flavor.
For over 75 years, Kamara Jewelers has been the destination for quality jewelry. Our collection has a piece for everyone, in every occasion. Whether you're starting a new chapter, celebrating a milestone, or showing appreciation for the special people in your life, you can find a piece that reflects your love. At Kamara, we're about timelessness. Our jewelry isn't just for special occasions, it's for everyday moments that deserve a touch of elegance.
Get real, get Kamara. Locally sourced is good, whether it's ingredients or a bank, and that's why my bank is Farmers National Bank. Since 1887, Farmers has remained rock solid through every economic condition. Having a bank with a history of safety, soundness, and conservative management is a must. It all boils down to this. You need a bank that will help you reach your goals. I do too, and Farmers is mine. Farmers National Bank, rock solid.
Given is living.
Woolley Brothers has a great choice of quality cheeses. We use our relationship with Old World Houses to specially select the product and then have it custom cut and packaged by our own local artisans. At Woolley Brothers Market, our family is in the store.
I have been waiting months to come here. Rob has finally granted me access, and we are at the West Wind Urban Ag Farm here at the old Westinghouse Mill in Sharon. It is a urban farm, and it is aquaponic.
Correct.
Not hydroponic.
You're correct. So aquaponics is the marriage of aquaculture, the raising of fish, and hydroponics, soilless gardening. So aquaponics is technically the combination of both.
There is no soil used here for any of the plants.
Yeah, we don't get dirty, we get messy.
Okay, and we got to watch that we don't contaminate. That's why we are in our antibacterial gear. And we're going to get a tour of this, and you are going to be absolutely fascinated. And the best thing is, everything that you see grown here, we can purchase.
Correct. So as
This
of
is all for
November
sale.
1st. Yeah. Yeah. So we've been trialing at the farmers market locally, but as of November 1st, we'll be ready for sale.
All right, let's go.
Let's do it.
Hello, fellow engineer.
So I've got Calvin and Mr. Thomas here. They're going to help us
Calvin
today.
and Mr. Thomas.
Casey Malone.
Very excited to be here.
So as I was mentioning earlier, we actually have a pretty methodical process. So we'll harvest from one end of the raft beds, we'll shift the rafts down, and then when we transplant, we'll load it from back here. So it's a conveyor belt system. The plants will only spend 14 days in the raft beds. That's why we have the NFT beds.
What is an NFT?
Nutrient film technologies is to be able to grow the plant for 30 days here. So once it hits the raft bed, it is exactly 14 days from front to back. So we have a methodical process to be able to gauge our plants. So this plant nursery is allowing us to grow more plants per square foot.
You have just the teeny weeny seeds?
Yes, these are the seeds that we use here. We have Savanola Red, Savanola Green. You're looking at Cherry Tree Crisp. I just take a few in my hand. We'll get a few out.
See how little they are?
And we take one. In each little hole that's in the rock wall, we just drop one seed in each hole.
And they all take?
Yes, they all take.
Once it's all done, he'll label it, goes into our germination rack for 3 days, and then you saw the process where we'll transplant and harvest.
So within 3 days, it sprouts
It's coming
and it gets big enough to be put into.
Correct. Yep. So then I'll have light, so it start photosynthesizing and growing.
And in here, we have our plants in something called rock wool. We seed in these little holes right here. I don't know how well the camera can pick it up. They grow out nice and well. And then we take them apart, bring them over to the raft here, and then split it apart again, drop it in, and it's done. And once this tray is full, it can go into the bed.
And you take the whole thing out, root and all.
Yep. And then we actually root it. So if we were harvesting, we would pull the whole thing out, clean up any lower leaves, wrap the roots, give it a squeeze so you don't have too much water. We would put that in a clamshell, close the clamshell. That's how you'd have a head of lettuce. So I can keep this stuff in my refrigerator for 4 to 9 weeks. This is the fish nursery.
This is the nursery where the little, oh my gosh, they're so little.
They're 5 days since they've been at our facility.
And they come like this, like little teeny.
Yeah, they come in the mail, and summer it's chilled. And we get them within 24 hours from New Mexico. We spend a half day acclimating them to our system water before we introduce them to our system.
And what do you feed them?
So we have a specialized fish food from Rangen. It's got your 30% protein as well as all your micro and macronutrients for the plant. So anything that passes through the fish turns into fertilizer. We feed these guys 3 times a day, the same time,
3 times a day. They're
every
just
day.
like people.
Yeah.
So is it, let's see, it
noon,
is
lunch.
noon, high noon.
So look, they're ready.
Look at this, they're splashing.
So sprinkle it towards the middle like a salt shaker and they'll come up and get it quickly.
Do I put the whole thing in?
Yep. Yeah, go ahead and throw the whole thing in.
Wow! Look at these guys, they're starving.
So once the fish are ready to be eaten, we will actually take them to a purge tank. And that's where we're really able to make sure you're getting the best tasting fish.
Now that is what I find interesting. So these are your future purge tanks.
Yeah, so there's 2 setups. So the purge tanks are in the back, and then this is a patented ZDEP, which is zero discharge extra production. So we're able to take all of the fish waste, put it through another bead filter, we circulate it, it breaks it down, it captures the solids, the nutrient-rich water gets pumped back to the raft tanks to add nutrients, and then you can take the solids and put them into a continuation garden, send them out for fertilizer, you can dry.
What exactly is the fish purging?
It's like putting them on a 3-day diet. So they store fat. That fat, stored fat, is actually where that fishy smell and flavor comes from. So a 3 to 5 day purge gets rid of just the stored fat. Now that that is gone, we can actually chill our temperature of our tanks to firm up the meat and be ready for sale for a live fish. We
And
try to
sell them whole.
We'll sell them whole. And then we're working with a couple restaurant chefs and schools to fillet them.
This is just freaking awesome, man. I mean, I am so impressed.
Right, there's so much.
I want to do this. I might quit my job and come work for you.
So we are hiring and we do take volunteers. Food preservation is the next thing. Like, we can produce 500 of these every day. Well, what if we're not selling or consuming 500 every day? What do we do with that?
So then you could
Get into food preservation. Dry, freeze dry, air dry, can.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no waste. That's unbelievable.
No waste.
Zero waste here.
So if we have any plant waste, it goes to the gardeners, so local farms.
How did they find you?
I found
Bob?
them.
You
So
found them?
I have done a lot of this as a hobby. I'm on a couple boards. So I was on my board for the Junior Achievements of Mercer County. We had our board meeting here, and one of the board members said, hey, they're building that aquaponics farm in the back. So I actually stood up from my board meeting and walked back here, and Bill, the plumber who was building this system, I was sitting back here and I sat back here for hours and talked to him about how the system works. And, you know, he's putting this together and he's like, wow, I've learned more just understanding talking to you. And I said, make sure you tell the winners that so when they're ready for jobs. So I made myself readily available so that way when it was built in December, in January when they did the hiring,
I'm your guy.
Here I am. So
wow,
non-traditional ways or guerrilla styles of getting a job. It's not just get online and fill out a resume and hope somebody calls you. Like, you got to make yourself available.
What happened?
No, not in Sharon.
And then, you know, and look at it.
Especially not this size.
This is groundbreaking.
It
really is.
It's awesome. We can give everybody in Mercer County a head and a half of lettuce. So there's 110,000 people in Mercer County. We'll grow 150,000 heads a year. That's impactful, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Would you like some basil? Absolutely,
Yeah,
you want
I
some
want
basil.
Basil. The Casey Malone Show is sponsored in part by Denise and John York and the DeBartolo Corporation.